Hello and welcome to mARTian, our aptly titled 3 Nights of Creativity in celebration of National Astronomy Week. It's an unofficial and speedily assembled space-themed programme, which nevertheless includes some music, art, poetry and more. Consider it an unofficial free fringe event from all of us involved, with the artistic orc cloud that has gravitated towards some truly stellar offerings this week. And before we go on, a huge thank you to the organisers of National Astronomy Week for letting us tag along and for giving our events a retweet and a share on the social media. It's greatly appreciated and you've done a wonderful job this week. I've really enjoyed seeing some of the lectures on the robotic space probes, artist Luke Jerram in conversation, talking about canals on Mars and much, much more. If you haven't seen the content, please visit astronomyweek.org.uk. You will not be disappointed. So without further ado, little pooch Ludwig and I will dive into the first piece of creativity for the programme. It's a piece of artwork by artist Emma Lloyd, who I was fortunate enough to collaborate with 2 years ago for the European Week of Astronomy and Space Science. It will come as no surprise when you see it that this piece was inspired by the Cassini space probe and the Huygens lander, which landed on Titan. So without further ado, here it is, Titanic Achievements. It's really wonderful to see that piece again, now with updated visuals and music. We were so lucky and honoured to have Professor John Zarnecki in attendance, one of the mission specialists actually for the Huygens probe itself, and also the outgoing president of the Royal Astronomical Society. So next, anyone that knows Operation Lightfoot will know that it's a truly collaborative project. It's a revolving door, and we have various guest artists, dancers, and much more. But the next person is someone that, unlike everybody else in this program, I've not met. It's a poet by the name of Rachel Lightfoot, and I got to catch up with her before she shared her piece, Suspension. It's great to welcome the first of our creative guests, poet, actor, and writer Rachel Lightfoot. Now, we've spent the last few minutes giggling, trying to get this interview done, but actually it's so nice to say welcome to Operation Lightfoot.
Thank you very much. I'm really, really thrilled that you've asked me to be a part of it.
Your piece, Suspension, does touch on some of the themes in terms of astronomy, or rather some of the words and the metaphors in there linked to that. What was the reason for using planetary references and the references that are in there?
So, Suspension is kind of a poem about sort of modern dating in a way, and just trying to find out, like, I've found modern dating a real minefield and speaking to lots of different people about it. There's all these kind of, there's this terminology out there that's like ghosting and gaslighting and things like that. And one that we actually stumbled across was something called orbiting. And I thought that was a really good concept.
Just so for anyone watching at home that is swiping right or left on this as we speak.
Orbiting is basically a concept where it's like somebody that hangs around on your social media and just like orbits your sort of space, but never actually direct messages you or makes a move, but is there kind of liking all of your stuff and hanging around. And it was something that we like looked into and read a lot about. Or it's like exes can do orbiting, where they're not like your friend on social media, but they hang around and watch all your stories on Instagram or whatever. And I just really like the imagery of like an orbit, somebody kind of orbiting around you, but in digital cyberspace, if you like. And I just wanted to play with that kind of imagery and that concept.
I've been really fortunate to see a lot of your poetry that you've written. You sent me some of the examples of work recently, and we're working on another separate project. But what's your aim as a poet? Are you looking at publishing deals, having this stuff perform monologues? Where do you go from here?
Ideally, I'd really, really like to get my first collection published. So I've had a couple of poems published in various anthologies. I had a collection published with Dark Gatekeeper Gaming, which was great because he published 10 of my poems alongside 3 other poets. But the aim now for me is I'd really, really like a collection of my own, just a book of all my own poems with my own name on, which I know is really narcissistical, but that's the goal.
It's probably most writers aim to have something a bit like that. Well, very much good luck with those projects. It's been great to invite you to be part of this. So is there anything else on the programme you're looking forward to seeing over the course of the weekend?
I'm looking forward to seeing everybody's pieces, but in particular, a little sort of surprise performance that you've allowed me to have a sneak peek of. I'm quite excited for that.
Oh, fantastic. Well, without further ado, this is Suspension, written and performed and recorded by Rachel Lightfoot.
Suspension is like a half-truth, caught somewhere between the hard edge of honesty and the softness of a lie, frozen in outer space as breadcrumbs orbit, forever displaced. I recognise this place. I've been here before, wounded and disgraced. It's different now, though. I grew feathers from scars, studied the half-ins and the half-outs, and noted the ones who always leave the door ajar. I learned how to slip free from the noose and recognise the importance of lies when digging for truths. I twisted my spine into steel, broke the vertebrae in order to feel, taught myself how to heal from all of the burdens shouldered in the pursuit of something real. And from my broken back, pinions grew strong, carried me along. And so you see, I no longer need to dangle at someone else's angle. I've decided to release the tension from this suspension. I'm going to leave this place, make my journey back from outer space. I cannot stay within your orbit. Instead, I'll wrestle all the stars, rip open the atmosphere, and leave Phobos and Deimos to dance desperately around Mars. The time has now come for me to say goodbye. These wings are too extensive. They command me to fly.
That was actor, writer, and poet Rachel Lightfoot. It was really wonderful to do that interview. We had such a laugh, actually. There's a gag reel, which I'm sure will pop up over the next few days. Moving swiftly on, our final offering for the first night of Martian. This is a piece by electronic art pop creator Dorothy Bird. Dorothy is an artist that separates the time between Berlin and Liverpool, and I've had the pleasure of working with for a few years now. It felt only appropriate to include this, and it's a piece called Out of the Dark. You can hear it by visiting this link. Thanks again, and see you tomorrow at 2100 hours UTC for the next edition of Martian. Right, we're done. We're done.